Feedback is information students and teachers share during learning so that students can close the gap between their current level of performance and the learning goals. Effective feedback requires intentional planning. In this segment, we'll look for ways to plan assessment and instruction to create the conditions for effective feedback. The continuous flow of information between the teacher and the student about learning has sometimes been described as a feedback loop. The feedback loop begins with an instructional activity related to a learning goal. While students practice, teachers gather ongoing information about the learning using assessment strategies such as observation and oral questioning. Teachers use this feedback to adjust and target their instruction to meet student needs. Students use feedback to reflect on their learning and make adjustments to progress toward the learning goal. When planning, teachers need to carefully consider when and how feedback will be given during the feedback loop and build in designated time for student action and follow-up on the feedback. For example, you can give students a task and provide ongoing feedback as you observe and assess.
So the identified learning goal for this lesson could be that students should solve problems involving the surface area of prisms and pyramids.
What instruction and assessment are we going to use to address that learning goal?
Well, I could provide them with different 3D nets, and they could identify what the 3D shape is based on what the base is. They would have to identify the base and then identify if it's a prism or a pyramid. And I guess as they're working in groups on identifying what those different shapes are, I could walk around and observe and see who's having difficulties with that task.
We want to ensure that the students are getting quality feedback instantly, so as you are circulating, you can certainly do that.
Research shows that feedback that comes soon after the performance is most effective, particularly when the learning is focused on facts and concepts. Brookhart calls this feedback just in time.
And then you could give them a word problem to look at. So they could peer assess each other's solutions using the problem-solving checklist that we've provided.
And their solution in this checklist could be their exit card as they're leaving for that day.
And the next day you could have a discussion with the entire class based on the information you gathered from the exit cards. You could address the entire class or work with students individually.
Think about how students will record the feedback and how you will monitor that students have acted on it. Teachers have developed a variety of ways to monitor and track students' response to feedback. Some samples are included in the viewer's guide. The mode of delivery is also important to consider when planning feedback. Feedback can be oral.
And how many X's do you have? This is X here, right? These are done now. Now, how many X's? All are X's here. Four. Positive and 1.
Or written. When deciding, consider the type of assignment. Some tasks, such as a written report, lend themselves better to written feedback, while others, such as an investigation, may be more appropriate to oral feedback. Learning conversations with students can also be very effective.
It's good, Roshana, how you have identified that the centimeters need to be cubed in calculations for volume because you have centimeters times centimeters times centimeters. Now I want you to think about...
Oral feedback was really good, like just going around as they're working on the task and just helping them through it as they work on it.
Yeah.
Worked well.
Deliberately planning when and how feedback will be given can help alleviate some of the demands on teachers' time. Here are some practical suggestions for addressing the challenges of balancing feedback with classroom assessment and instruction. Provide feedback at critical checkpoints in the learning. Model how to provide effective feedback. As students become more familiar with the feedback process, they can give meaningful feedback to each other and to themselves. Provide feedback to groups of students with similar strengths and needs. Design a way to record the feedback for reference by students and for your own records. Maximize the use of classroom observation and feedback logs.
So basically, for every lesson, what we want to provide is an opportunity to give feedback to the students, for them to act on that feedback, and then for us to follow up to ensure that they are using that feedback appropriately.
A viewer's guide has been developed to enhance your professional learning. Please refer to the guide for more detailed information about planning for effective feedback, research references, and access to a variety of learning activities.